love to play the game of football. I'm ready to play football. I'm happy to be here. Just happy to be here. I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be a part of this team. So I'm happy to be here. I love the game of football. I think it's an art. I think it should be played a certain way. And that's why I love to play the game. I just love football.
Alrighty, Steel Nation. That is crazy. When I played that intro, there was 8 people already going into the live chat. That is fantastic. So, alrighty, Steel Nation, welcome back to Steelers Nation Australia. And you guys know by now, if you're a regular on the show, when you see me wear these headphones, it means I have special guests or I'm listening to reggae music, one of the two. But I will bring in some guests, and we have here from the Steelers Dynasty podcast. Bubba, how you doing, mate? How are you?
I'm doing great, Mark. How you doing?
Fantastic. And my good mate, Shano. What's going on, Shane? Anyone ever called you Shano?
Oh, yeah, I got that a lot. Usually the ladies.
Yeah? the ladies call you Shano?
But not like that.
Oh, okay. Hey, man, what a good...
You ask silly questions, you get silly answers, and that's kind of why it's so entertaining.
Hey, that's why I brought you on, man. I like the silly answers too. Half the time when we do a podcast, I don't even really talk the Steelers. I don't know why I'm doing Steelers podcasts. It's all the other stuff comes into. We did the 17 hours too, and you guys were a part of that as well. You know,
that was crazy. That was just something. I had to pack a lunch for that, and supper, and every snack.
You look like a meat puppet, like someone just had their hand up your butt and was making your mouth move, and you're just moving around. You know, Mark, you look tired as shit, man.
Oh man, I was probably shouldn't, like, in terms of like entertainment and being on podcasts, I really shouldn't have been on the third day. There was no point me being there. I was just really there to listen to other people talk. You know what I mean? So that wasn't a good time. But I'm dedicated, but that was foolish enough.
You hit it better than Maddie. Maddie was like the Energizer Bunny. When he hit the wall, it was very, very evident. You know, like.
It's because Matty is a draft guru and he loves that stuff, man. He would be awake 24 hours listening, talking draft football. Like I remember the first year when we got on, he's like, I'm so excited. I was like, dude, it's 2 a.m. Like, calm down, Hey, what up? You go, Bubba, sorry.
No, he's just Matty's so he breaks everything down. He was breaking everything down. Every draft pick, he was breaking it down. He must have had 17 cheat sheets to the right of him.
Yeah, no, he absolutely loves that stuff, like 24/7. He's involved in. He loves team building, being the GM. And I think Shane, you said something about Matty that he was like, well, I don't know if he came to the States, just his voice was just in cadence the whole time. Like I was getting mesmerized by it.
Man, it's like everybody on the podcast was like, man, I've just listened to this.
Yeah, just sit there and
go. It's partially the accent. Not that you have an accent, you sound lovely. It's just
thanks.
The fact you're hearing American football coming out of that mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'll give you and this is a bad example, but I used to do buccal swabs for DNA of bad guys, and I was in a detention facility in Iraq, and this guy had a beard and his mouth, he had like no teeth. And I did his buccal swab, and he had the smoothest James Bond villain accent. He said, "Hello, Captain Statler." I was like, "Whoa! You don't expect it to come out of him." Matty, not that he's a terrorist or has bad teeth, but it just was that surprise that all that knowledge is coming out of an Australian. You know what I mean? And here, Bubba and me, we are good with
Pittsburghism. Yeah,
but we don't get sweaty and nerdy about the draft stuff. We can't do that. That's why we rely on this magic 8-ball.
Yeah, we you know what, we might go towards that during the show as well. Get some more tips. The thing was to me with how Matty talks his stuff is I dead set don't know what he's talking about because I don't know who the players are. Yeah. And now my mission is like, because I sat there for 7 hours going, what am I looking at? So maybe next year I need to be more prepared. But I sat there and thinking, this bloke is just talking everything about every college prospect and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was awesome. Yeah. Hey, let's get into it. So we're going to go through the draft today, right? Check what you guys think about some of the picks, that kind of stuff too. But we're really going to focus on Zach Frazier and I almost said Corner Beanie Bishop, right? Before we do that though, I want to get into this big news that's been happening since the draft day, which was, and I'll go to Bubba first in just a minute. We had this BMAC tweet, right? Because Omar's work and the Steelers are very close to landing a significant playmaker. # here we go. Now, BMAC has sent the Steelers internet by storm. What are your thoughts about that tweet, Bubba, so far?
Well, maybe it's a couple days late. I thought they were going to do something the second day. Or like I said before we went on, our receiving core is not the strongest part of the Steelers team right now, where it used to be many years ago. Now we lost Dante Johnson. We picked up the rookie from Michigan, but still that's not enough. I don't know if Omar Khan got that big giant bag. We might have to ask the Magic 8-Ball. I don't know. To actually see if we get these one of these three receivers. And anyone we get, I definitely would be happy for. And we'll probably have to give away a little bit because we're trying to make a headway to the playoffs and to the AFC Championship game. So I'm okay with whatever we're going to be doing right now. I'm not going to be negative about nothing. I'm on the Mark bandwagon, jumping on. I'm like, woohoo! I'm ready. So we'll see.
So Shado, what do you think about this? What do you think about this tweet from Brian McFadden? Any truth towards what Omar is working and Steelers are very close to landing? I think BMAC is a credible guy, a good bloke from what I've seen. I've talked to him twice in my Twitter messages, and I think he's a stand-up dude. I don't see any reason why he would lie. Any truth to that tweet?
No, I don't think he would fib either. But let's think about it. The Steelers, they need a receiver, but they have serviceable receivers right now. Okay, they don't need. I mean, it would be great if this happens. Okay, but I'm gonna drink the Mark Kool-Aid, where this is a glass half full. It's not that big of a deal. If it happens, that's fantastic. If it doesn't, I'm not going to be too upset. Because right now, we are in a good spot. I hate saying we. The Steelers are in a good spot.
That's we play.
It's our team. I live vicariously through them every day. I'm good.
Yeah.
The Steelers are in a good spot because we are always in a good spot. The Steelers have not always been in a good spot. Like this year, I think they're if they can get one more. And I say serviceable being like a grade of a C+, right? Then it doesn't have to be a stud. I mean, just someone that can catch. How many passes, Mark? How many passes, Bubba, would you consider in a season for a run? It's going to be a run-heavy offense. Let's just say 600 yards receiving or 500 yards. Would that be
for a
serviceable receiver?
Oh, yeah, like 600, 500, maybe 40 catches, something like that.
I would go a little up. I would go maybe 60 with maybe close to, I would like to be 700, close to 700 yards. Give me 10 touchdowns. Just give me 10 touchdowns somewhere.
I would say
Cortland Sutton had it last year. Cortland Sutton. So
yes, he did.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Well, hey, do you want to ask the Magic 8-Ball?
One more question, because I want to do some now. I'll go back to Bubba first and Shane again. So we had Omar Khan respond to this, and then we'll ask that Magic 8-Ball right near the end for a bit of suspense. Now, so Omar Khan was on the Pat McAfee show. By the way, some reason James Debo Harrison was there too. I don't know if you saw that. He walked into Omar Khan's room and said hello. So maybe James Debo Harrison was signing. That'd be fantastic. He came back. He's there. I don't know. Anyway,
you sign him as the strength and conditioning coach for the Steelers. Yeah,
that's what you signed him for. Okay, so Omar Khan said this on the receiver trade rumors. So one of the blokes there from the Pat McAfee show said this, asked him about the question with the rumors, and Omar Khan said, "There's nothing going on right now. I'm not exactly sure what the verbiage was or what was reported." Omar knows what was reported or something happened. I'm sure Omar checks his Twitter, but nothing to report. So what are your thoughts, Bubba, on Omar's response to the BMAC tweet? Because I think BMAC is telling a bit of truth. I don't think he will have any reason to lie. And by the way, if BMAC is wrong, I won't go after him, but the Steelers internet will absolutely carve him up and they'll never trust him again.
Well, that's the chance they have to take. I think Omar Khan already knows what's going on. He's keeping it close to his vest. He's not going to say anything. And if people get on McFadden for coming up with some kind of equation and they get angry because it didn't happen, they got better issues to worry about. Because there's been rumors and speculation for a receiver now for the last 2 months, 2.5. So I think Omar Khan is keeping it close to his vest. I don't know if he's going to pull the trigger because he got that salary cap he cut from Highsmith. Where's that money going? That money's going somewhere. So do we sign somebody? That is the biggest question of the day.
Yeah, Steelers fans will complain about everything. Like 3 years ago, Oakmont Bakery opened a new state-of-the-art bakery, okay? And it's butts to nuts in there, man. If you're trying to get a jelly donut, you're going to get groped, by some man or older woman is going to be rubbing up on your bits and pieces. But they're complaining because they're like, the old place was quaint, but you have a lot more selection of pastries. They complain about anything. So piss on Steelers fans for that.
All righty. Oh my goodness. Okay. So what are your response to this kind of thing? So Omar Khan, Shane, he pretty much has to say no, right? In that position
Company
on the
line.
interview.
You have to do give him the company line, play the game. He's playing the game. He can't,
because if he says yes, by the way, yes, we are in trade talks with this team, yada yada yada, and maybe it wasn't done yet, then that might spoil things and things go, all over the shop.
You got to realize, guys, that other people are also looking for these other players too. So Omar is not going to say nothing, like I said, because other people can swoop right in and make that trade off of us, and then we're going to be like holding an empty bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and I guess if you say, and he's probably in talks with the team who's doing it with, and he says something, then they'll go, "Why did you give our information out right now? We're not ready yet." I don't know. I believe BMAC, and I believe both. I believe BMAC and I believe Omar Khan both, because someone said, there was in a comment before, they said, well, they had so much trust in Kenny Pickett. 2 days later, they got rid of him.
Who?
Yeah, but that's what Omar Khan said. I believe in Kenny Pickett. I trust him, and then 2 days later, he got rid of him.
Kenny Pickett's like, I hear a transmission noise. I hear a noise. And all of a sudden, it's like, I don't have reverse. He crapped bed. It's like, you don't know what's going to happen until it happens. He was an asshole for a while, but we kind of ignored it because he's a handsome dude. He's charismatic, and he's our quarterback, by God. But no, we look back. Oh, yeah.
Kenny Pickett is an afterthought now in Steeler fan lore. Who? He is just he's just forgotten now.
It's like he never played, because I was a huge supporter of him. It's like he never played football, isn't it? You probably never go back and go. You might watch some highlights of the games, but you go, I didn't even know he played football for us. That's kind of feels like that.
One game.
Okay, let's ask the Magic 8 Ball. Will Omar Khan, and do I got to bring it up, Shane, like that?
Yeah, bring it up.
Like that? Oh. So what do you do? What am I meant to do? Do I say it verbally? What do I do? Do I write a text?
Question. And I will. You ask the question, and I'll make an answer.
So if I ask it, like, you don't have to write it, so you just press that and something comes up, so it can hear us, right?
It's magic.
Okay, so if I were to say, will Omar Khan make a huge splash play at a free agent or a trade in the next few days?
Shake that ball.
I don't think it speaks Australian. Magic 8 Ball. Will Omar Khan make a big move in the next couple days?
The same thing.
Here we go.
I don't know what the hell you said.
Oh.
To say.
Oh.
It is certain.
It's certain. Oh my goodness.
It was,
and it was right too, because I remember you guys asked the Magic 8 Ball, Pepper did, if I was going to get drunk on Friday. Yeah, and I was completely pissed. I was so drunk. I kind of don't want to touch it again. I think that's so wait, by the way, too, you just bagged me out because I thought I said English, and then you said no, I got to translate Australian in the exact same sentence.
I just was giving you heat there.
All right. Hey, so okay, that's kind of cool. I don't want to take away the mystique of the Magic 8 Ball. So it is certain it's going to happen in the next 3 days.
Questions. Let's do 3 questions, and I can put it away. You want to ask McFadden
about what?
Is McFadden spot on or
all right, okay. Let's do okay. Then you can translate. You can please, when I say this question, can you please translate to the American audience?
Yeah.
Will Brian McFadden? No, is Brian McFadden telling the truth? Ooh.
Drama.
Suspense. It is. He is telling the truth. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Could be 2 for 2.
I like they all go together. Right.
That's good.
Right now, Has Omar? Maybe I do need a translator. Has Omar done the deal? That doesn't make any sense because what deal? It could be any deal. It could be a drug deal.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's good too. Sometimes. I guess.
All right. What else do we think we have a question for this stuff?
Will the Steelers Magic 8 Ball? Will the Steelers get a significant
receiver?
Will they get a decent receiver, or are they just going to roll with what they have?
Ooh. It's just.
It might say something. As I see it, yes, they're going to get a receiver. So
Wow.
Last three things have all tied into the Steelers moving in that direction, guys. And I'll tell you what.
Can I say, is the Magic 8 Ball full of shit? Are we allowed to say that? That's my last question. Is the Magic 8 Ball full of shit?
Oh, indubitably so.
This is a big groundbreaking technology. Oh! hey, you cannot make that up better than ever.
No.
Oh, that's good. I'm going to hide that away. It's too powerful. It's way too powerful.
Yeah.
Okay. So we covered that. We think Omar Khan is in works. BMAC's telling the truth. We'll see what happens over the next few days. That is just in. You know what? That's where you get the Magic 8 Ball from Steelers Dynasty Podcast. That's where it's at. Alrighty, fellas. So let's go into our next thing. I want to talk a bit about the draft, and we're going to go into Zach Frazier and corner Beanie Bishop. So Shane, you pretty happy with overall draft that the Steelers got?
I'll tell you what, I was like a giddy schoolgirl that just got asked to the prom.
Who was your favorite out of these blokes?
Zach Frazier is a good pick, but I think I was pretty confident that was going to happen. From my sources and talking to Mike Alsty, and just what I was afraid of is the fact that they liked him so much that he was going to move up in the draft. He started getting really hot there for a minute. The Cowboys, Eagles, a lot of teams are reaching out to him. And when he went up to Pittsburgh, they asked him flat out because they knew he was smart and they knew he had 4 different quarterbacks that he had worked with in the past 4 years. And he started when he was a freshman in the Big 12. So they asked him, how long would it take you to learn an NFL playbook? And he said, probably 2 weeks. If I really had to, 10 days, 2 weeks. So, and he said it matter of fact. If you watch that interview he had the day after he was drafted, he's very matter of fact. He's like into woodworking and he's married. He's not like a boisterous. He's not over the top. So he literally is a plug and play guy. So yes, I was excited about Zach. That set the tone. But I was hoping that Beanie Bishop would get maybe drafted in the last round, but I didn't think would happen. I thought he was going to get picked up as an undrafted free agent. Did I think he was going to go to the Steelers? No. Because they picked that lanky
Watts
3 guy.
Watts, yeah.
I thought, well, they're not going to pick. That's where I thought they were going to pick Beanie Bishop. But Beanie Bishop. So Beanie Bishop played in the Big Ten for the Minnesota Gophers, and Minnesota in the Big Ten. So the Big Ten conference is a great conference, but they're top heavy. You have Penn State that's good every now and then, maybe every 3 years that they're really, really good. You got Michigan, Ohio State, and then Wisconsin is good like Penn State every couple of years. Everybody else is kind of mediocre, and then you have some crap teams. Minnesota is one of those teams. So he played against good competition, but he didn't have very, very good film catalog. He came to WVU, and he played like his ass was on fire. We're not talking about interceptions, those big splash plays that Tomlin likes to call them. In the bowl game against North Carolina, he had a big interception. He had 4 interceptions in the regular season, but he made a lot of very physical plays on the ball. Now, my concern is those might be called as pass interference in the NFL. He's really good at reaching around and just pushing the ball out. Plays that 90% of these receivers would catch against another D-back, he literally physically jars the ball loose or causes them to lose that contact and not be able to control that ball. So very physical for his size. They have him listed for at like 5'10". He's 5'8", 5'9", about 170 pounds.
Ooh.
So he's not that big. He might be 5'10", I don't know. But watching him match up against these guys, he's not that big. So his speed, he has really good lateral speed. He has a good vertical jump, runs a 4.39, which is very good. I just hope that transitions to the NFL. He's nasty. He closes on the line of scrimmage really fast, really good open field tackler, much better than what Porter Jr. was, and he came along, but his open field tackling is not an issue. Worry about the penalties. He would be a fantastic punt returner. I know we already have.
I was just going to say that,
but he would be fantastic in that role. He also would be good on special teams now that they've kind of changed that up a little bit. He has enough ass to him. He's strong enough to be playing that, but I don't know how they're going to set up the special teams for the kickoffs or the kick returns. So I don't know. I think for an undrafted free agent, we're not going to spend a lot of money. The risk versus reward is fantastic. And if hey, guys, watch video of Beanie Bishop and against North Carolina. Watch him against Texas Tech. The quarterback from UCF, Beanie Bishop, picked off and almost picked off twice. So he can read a quarterback really well, can jump on that play. He's a great fit. So he would be a good rotational guy. Will he see some time this year? I really doubt it.
I just want to say, you thought Matty was mesmerizing. That was mesmerizing. That was pretty good. I don't know what the fuck you said, but I liked it.
That's because he's a West Virginia guy, so he knows all those West Virginia players.
I've watched this kid play, 13 games last year. Mm-hmm. Same with Zach Frazier. I watched him play for 4 years. So I can talk to, oh my gosh. So Zach Frazier is a true center. That Barton that they were looking at, I think he was from North Carolina. They're going to move him. He can play center or tackle or guard. He can play anywhere. I was kind of bummed the Steelers didn't get him, but they got the kid from Washington who just fits the mold for what a Steeler should be. And I don't want to butcher his name, but I'll leave that to Bubba. He's really good at butchering names too.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Thank you.
But Bubba, what do you think? I mean, you're a casual college fan.
Well, look, I think the Beanie Bishop signing as a free agent. We don't have a punt returner. We have a kickoff returner. We do not have a punt returner. So if Bishop has a 4.3, you know what? He could make this team as a punt returner because they're not going to put Calvin Austin. I don't think he did much for me. We need to use him, but he also too, Shane, he could be maybe training for the slot corner, maybe. Because he could be like a Hilton type, version 2.0. I did like Mike Hilton, but
middle field with him though, because he's not that big and he is so physical. He's gonna try to force the play, and he might get a penalty because of it. That's my big
I'm okay if he's getting a penalty and actually putting his heart out there and playing. If he's not blocking like the guy who we just traded to the Carolina Panthers, we got a problem. If he's trying to put 100% in every play and he's a little bit of aggressive maybe, and it's Joey Porter got some penalties last year.
What does Mike Tomlin always say? I'd rather say whoa than sick him. And he wants to steal the guys. So, I think this draft has been showing that it's all been Steeler guys.
When you guys watch film of this guy, there are like 3 plays where literally the ball, like he looks like he's catching the ball as a receiver because he forces himself into position. It's like he has a third eye in the back of his head. There's a play where it bounces off the receiver and he reaches out and catches it and runs. I mean, he just has that nose for the ball, a magnet in his ass that just he's always there. So
and that's good. That's a good thing.
haven't seen a guy like that. He's not a Troy Polamalu, but he like Troy had that. Oh my God, he's where the ball is.
Here's a question: do you think he will thrive in this role, being an undrafted player rather than being drafted like Jalen Warren did? Because Jalen Warren's a starter in the NFL, or he can be a starter, but now, he's a fantastic player. Do you think that kind of no pressure, but like go out there and try and land a job? He could be that kind of bloke, Shane.
He's fighting because he fought for. It was a. I don't want to use a football term, Hail Mary, but it was like this. This was his last season. He transferred out after he graduated from Minnesota and played that extra year he had, as a Mountaineer. And be honest with you, top to bottom, the Big 12 has more consistent talent than what the Big 10 has. The Big 10, you might have 2 good teams you play, and the rest are kind of mediocre. I'm going to catch crap for that, but it's just the way I look at it. He lined up against Texas. He lined up against, Texas Tech, UCF. They played North Carolina in the bowl game. I mean, Baylor. He played some really significant time in 2 big conferences. I mean, he's not coming from South Dakota or coming from a FBS small school. And he only has 1 year of tape. And if he was 2 inches taller, had 1 more year of film, he would have been a 3rd round pick for sure. But Zach, let's talk about him, and I'll stop talking.
No. We could be here for hours, mate. This is
days.
Days, mate.
He is self-reflective, really hard on himself. He lost a couple matches as a freshman wrestler at Fairmont High School. They asked him, so did you ever lose a wrestling match? He said, yeah, I lost a couple early on my freshman year, and I kind of, looked back at some tape and realized I needed to do X, Y, and Z. Well, he won 4 state championships as a freshman, okay, in the heavyweight division. So, he has a lot of, self-awareness. And then, of course, let's talk about his grades. I think the cat's only got 2 B's in his life. He's uber smart, and those were like in engineering classes. He brought that up in the interview. So you're getting a smart guy, has a nasty streak, okay? And you watch that nasty streak when he's wrestling. I mean, he is manhandling these kids. I mean, just absolutely just like, and his grip, he has some meat hooks on him. And we're talking like a bricklayer finger, like thick sausage fingers. I mean, this guy is the real deal. He's going to be a Steeler for a long time. It's just a match. And guys, he's going to have the same number he had in college, number 54. It's trending. There's going to be a lot of 54 jerseys in the stands, guys.
So you said he had a wrestling background. That was in high school or college?
High school.
High school. So he won 140 matches or something, right?
Yeah, and lost 2.
Lost 2. Over what span of time in high school doing the wrestling?
So he was 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18. So that's how he was.
And he probably started Shane at a earlier age, because most of them do now when they do,
he was 9th grade. So I have a kid in 9th grade who's 15. So, you got to think of a 15-year-old kid going up against an 18-year-old heavyweight.
Yeah, right.
Different.
The physical difference between a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old is amazing. And the fact that he was a man among boys then, and then he started at WVU as a freshman in a huge conference, and he lined up against Texas.
For the Australians in the room, just being me, what is a freshman?
School. So
what?
First year of college.
First year, very first year, right?
Yeah.
First year. So the kid's 18,
and he walked in to be a center straight away. I was going to say, what was the transition? Do you know the transition from him going to high school and like he played center right away?
So what happens for the Australians out there? So
me and Maddie, or Maddie knows. It's just me.
Yeah, Maddie knows. So you're freshmen, juniors, or freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and then seniors. And the same is true in college, but you start again. You go from being a senior in high school.
That always confuses me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then, literally the difference between being a senior in high school in May, when August rolls around, or July, whenever you arrive on campus, you become a freshman. So you're a freshman for those 2 semesters.
Got to start all over again, Mark. Start all over again.
Now, here's the thing, gentlemen. When you get to college, and I lived with guys that had a training table. In college, they have a meal plan, and they can go eat at the gym. They have like a dining facility attached to the gym. And if you watch videos on it, it's amazing. Colorado's dining table is fantastic. They had like lobster tails and surf and turf and crab legs. But these cats will put on crazy weight or get stronger. So the kids were eating McDonald's and Burger King and takeaway, as you would call it. They're now eating a strict diet. And you see the results in their physique. So they either get leaner and meaner or bigger and stronger. But either way, they're getting a dietitian. They're getting a training plan. They're getting, they even have these straps that go on them that will test them and see how they're resting now. And it looks like it goes across this little sensor. It looks like Tony Stark, and it tells them how they sleep. And if they're getting enough rest, and they found in the past couple of years, this has been the trend. They want them to have a certain amount of sleep along with the nutrition and the diet and all that. So it's a science, and these strength coaches make a huge difference. Now, Zach Frazier didn't benefit from that because he started to play immediately. Now, years ago, before the NIL money, you would sit a freshman so he could get that year of the dietitian, the training plan, learning the program. Now, some of these kids are coming in, they've already had some of that. But that's the difference between a freshman and a sophomore. And when you say like a redshirt freshman, that means he sat 1 year and it's his second year.
Right.
So they have like a second freshman year.
So when he went from high school to center, right? Was there a reason? Do you know if there was a reason why the coach made him center, or because of his wrestling background?
I think because there was a need. Okay, what they do is they look at these guys and say, okay, this guy's athletic, and I really don't know.
He's smart, and you want your centers to be smart because you want them to call the defense. They could call the defense out. They could tell the quarterback, hey, this play could go this way. So you want, like Shane said, somebody that's intelligent enough on that line to actually make the play calls to actually get that offense in gear. So maybe that is why too.
Yeah, they had. Let me. I'll use my memory here, but I can't remember exactly. I know there was 2 games 2 years ago that the starting quarterback, I think it was last year, the starting quarterback went down with injury like week 3. He was out 2 weeks. West Virginia won both games with a backup quarterback. I think in part because the quarterback was decent, but because that offensive center, Zach Frazier, was the glue that kept things together. They did have a dynamic, huge, pounding running back in C.J. Donaldson, but he got injured, and they put someone else in. So there were a lot of variables that he had to deal with, and he went from a bruiser running back to more of a quick twitch, fast guy. So he can block for your Najee types or maybe your quicker types. So I really am excited to see him play. I don't usually get that excited about watching the offensive lineman get after it, but this year, watching him all season, I just knew he would be playing in the NFL, and so did the coaching staff, because he broke his leg. He might have been able to come back and played, but they said, no, we don't want to risk his draft status. He's going to stay out. And, he drug himself off the field. Bear crawled.
Yeah. So you watched him for 4 years, and I want to get. I don't know if a lot of people know there on in the Dynasty podcast, or some of your fellas will know Bubba, but Still Nation Australia might not know. But Bubba, you were a professional wrestler, right? Back in
the day, yes.
Back
yes,
in the day.
Back in the day, about 20
many years, right?
Many years.
I want to connect these two together, and of course, I was a big fan of WWE or WWF in the Raw attitude, and I love Ric Flair and the chops. And you can't chop the other players, unless you wanted to. But with the wrestling terms, and it's very similar with the wrestling, how Shane's talking about the 150 wins or whatnot. And how would some techniques and some other cool ideas play with having a wrestling background merge into the offensive line being a center, even with your background in wrestling too?
Well, even when I played ball back many, many years ago too, you always had to be, get underneath, get that push. So actually having a center like Frazier and him being as smart as he is and having that wrestling background, his lower power is center of gravity. He could push people left or right. You only have to nudge a defensive player just a little bit because you already know where the play's going. So if you can power him just a little bit and come off that ball quick, you got to come off the ball hard, boom. So Frazier's already got that. So, and probably using your hips, it's just the power and wrestlers have power. They have the powers that they use from their hips, and then they can take that torque and, hurry up and try to get a pin. So, and if you're an amateur wrestler and you're playing football, most of the time you're either on a defense or mostly offensive line because you're in the pit. So you're actually getting that, they're getting that way of, using your wrestling knowledge to actually move somebody out of the way. So, Frazier now, like I said before, he's probably going to be the leader of that offensive line probably very, very quickly. I believe it was Daniels last year, maybe was the leader on the line. But I don't see that being so. I see Frazier probably being a leader on that line and using his wrestling background. And like Shane said, he has, these hands, those big paws, hiking that ball back. Mason Cole couldn't get it back to the center in a shotgun formation. So, we are at an upgrade, and I can't be nothing but ecstatic for this. But wrestling, has it to where linemen can actually use that and power, people out of the way using their hips and their lower bottom strength.
What about like conditioning from, being a wrestler yourself and being conditioning and not like doing, when you fall over or take the bumps or whatnot? What about that from a conditioning standpoint for Zach Frazier? He must be, I feel like being a wrestler, it's always moving all the time. And you're doing moves and you must be doing, you must be exhausted wrestling.
Well, his cardio, even though whatever weight he did heavyweight, I'm sure. So he didn't have to really watch his weight unless he had to get down to a certain thing because he was a heavyweight. So in other categories, when you're an amateur wrestler and you got a lower division of weight, you got to cut your weight and watch your weight because that, losing your weight can make you weaker somewhat. But if you're a heavyweight, you don't have to do that. So it all depends on how he probably didn't have a major injury. Doing the wrestling, and the amateur wrestling is different than the professional wrestling. So the cardio is great on both accounts. And to be an amateur wrestler, you have to have great cardio, even in professional. If you have cardio, you can go all day long. I mean, Flair used to do it when he was drinking and he could wrestle 60 minutes Broadway. Yeah. It's still cardio. It's a big cardio stuff. And like Shane said, with the college, when they eat a lot, they're probably eating offensive linemen and defensive linemen are probably eating 45 to maybe 6,000 calories. I remember when Alan Faneca back in the day was massive. Now you see him, he doesn't eat those calories. He's probably maybe 190 pounds. They lose all that weight because they're not eating all the calories they have to do.
He's so skinny. Now.
Yeah.
So it's Faneca too. They're real skinny.
But they're not needing to eat all that because they're not playing NFL ball anymore. So.
Let me ask Shane this question because you said there was a difference between wrestling and amateur wrestling. Shane, did you ever see Frazier use the chair or the table or a suplex like that for a ladder? Anything like that to get his wins?
No outside. No.
No ring bell. No title. Like that. Nothing.
Helmet like Perfect did and knocked.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that was. Oh, you mean the helmet from Garrett?
Yeah. No, from the back base Rudolph's helmet. Remember?
Yeah, that was when Garrett threw it. Garrett threw it at Mason. Yeah, that was wrestling. That was something else.
That was a homicide.
Yeah,
that's what it was. He should have been charged.
He should have been.
Yes.
It's the same reason. Well, there's one year that Aaron Donald did it, and they just brushed it off. And if I was like, "Oh, we didn't see that,"
and everybody out there listening, Myles Garrett did not get Defensive Player of the Year. He didn't do anything for it. It was just they didn't want to give it to T.J. Watt. Yes, I'm a little biased, but that's just the way it is. And TJ is going to come back with fire and probably get 25 sacks this year and just blow everybody out of the water.
I want to bring up too, because going back to the wrestling, we know that Keanu Benton was so excited last year as well with his wrestling background, and he's on the defense. Do you think that, like, I don't know if it may happen, but do you think, Bubba, that Benton and I guess in drills it would verse Frazier? Yeah,
they're going to go against each other. They're going to go against each other in training camp. You know, it's going to be brutal. Oklahoma's are going to be, something. When they hit.
Yeah, I think because I think there's something to what the Steelers have been doing with Waddle and Omar Khan and the organization have been building up the offensive line and getting some D-line guys like that. But like I think they're getting back to that physical football that we didn't really have over the past few years. But getting blokes that were Steeler guys like Philo Tano, who's a Steelers fan. Is it McCormick? Mason McCormick was a Steelers fan too. That guy's a bloody rogue raider. He just runs through anything. The Jackrabbit. I feel like they're getting like just maulers now. They lost the Pittsburgh Maulers, was a USFL team that came back to the XFL. They're now gone, but they're getting the real Pittsburgh Maulers in that sense. Shane, what are your other thoughts about Frazier being the absolute? You said leader, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to walk in there and take over, take control.
Those quiet guys that people just respect and they want to impress him. That's the read I get from him. He's just going to be. I think he's going to speak his mind, but he's not. I don't think he's a super extrovert. But from what I've seen from the outside as a fan, and he's not flashy. But I think he's going to, take that role, and I think he would speak his mind if something needs to be said. And I think that used to happen. Well, the safety. What Fitzpatrick, he would voice his concerns when the Steelers.
Oh, and then he fights. Anyone chirps up, he fights him. He fights Claypool.
Well, he's the spokesman. He's the spokesman now. He's the one that goes off and tells people how it is. He gets angry. He'll tell you about it. If you're not playing up to par, he'll tell you about it. But Frazier probably will let his talking on the field, like mostly every other center that's been with the Steelers from, and this shows my age, from Webster to Mansfield to Webster to Damani Dawson to Pouncey. They let all their speaking start on the they're talking on the field, and they just made holes for the running lane, and they kept their quarterback upright, and they got the ball back to the quarterback, whoever it was. And those 4 or 5 centers are the best in Steeler history.
I think it's going to be a committee by just good guys, like the good guys are taking over. You got, those 2 new guys coming into the locker room, the first round pick and the second round pick are both of the same ilk. I think they have that blue collar, no nonsense, mature above and beyond their years. And I think that's going to kind of set the tone up front for everybody else in the locker room, even though they're young guys. So.
What about, of course, you just can't, I guess, automatically give Frazier the job. Do you think they'll have like some sort of competition or like the illusion of competition? Like that to do something, right? They can't just go, here's the job, can they?
Going right in. There's nobody that could. There's no competition. Nate Herbig's not competition for Frazier.
Have like the first day, okay, and then you're going to look at your clock 2 hours later, and you're going to have your center. That's what's going to happen. like an hour into summer.
Right camp. After lunch. Right after lunch.
When they rock up on Heinz Field, they rock up to
be a goddamn water break.
Mm-hmm.
Like
right.
Well,
I don't know. I just thought the idea. Okay, if we know he's going to be center, but wouldn't you want, as a player, not like you still want to fight for it? I don't know. I just kind of think like, isn't there? Surely someone would be trying to
have someone else take snaps in case he gets hurt. But I think what's going to happen is it's going to be like a guard or somebody. They're gonna you're gonna. I don't know. I don't think they're going to have someone as
He's going to get his baptism of fire when maybe Cam Hayward's got to go across from him and Benton. So there's going to be his fire right there. They want him to be the corner of that offensive line, and that's why they drafted him, because this guy has a pedigree that they haven't seen for such a long, long time.
Yeah.
So maybe right after lunch at Latrobe, morning practice, and then they eat lunch, and by 12 o'clock or 12:30, Frazier's a starter in that first day. He's probably starting in mini camp. Mini camp's in a couple weeks. You'll know right there and then. Boom.
Yes, you're going to see that. You're going to see Frazier, and you're going to see Hayward, and you're going to see, and I'm not giving Hayward crap, but he's no spring chicken, but he's still a really good baller, and he's going to give him he's going to give Frazier a handful, but you'll see that he's played, 54 games or whatever the 4 seasons worth of Big 12 football, going against Texas, Oklahoma, Baylor. Guys, this guy will be able to handle himself, but the big boys are going to test him.
But also, guys, it's going to be great at training camp where this offensive line and the defensive line can combat against each other, because they're just bringing out the best of the best, because, that defensive line in the first part of the season can be beating up other teams' offensive linemen, and our offensive linemen in the first part of the season can be destroying NFL defensive linemen. So it's just the best of both worlds. And Weidel is actually making this prototype of like the Eagle stuff when he did and built both those lines. He's doing it right here in Pittsburgh.
The only thing you're missing for summer camp, if you're watching like a 5-minute clip of the highlights, is like an 80s music montage, like where they're running, like Rocky or Vision Quest, and you have that rock and roll theatrical music going on, and them just beating each other's ass.
I do want to bring up this though, because I don't know if you guys have seen that highlight, but Jerry's got a good point. He says Frazier was a great pick, but Mason McCormick's going to be a beast of all three. Have you guys seen any highlights of Mason McCormick? The guard is just absolute, bull in a china shop kind of bloke.
Yeah. My only criticism, and everybody said this, he played at a smaller school. So I think he would have been good at a Power 5 school, which is, your Big 10, Big 12, ACC, or Big 10 school. But I mean, yeah, I'm very impressed by the highlights, and he just looks to be, and like you said, you can't coach nasty, and I think he has.
He wants to hit. He just looks like he wants to hit someone and run someone over every time. Like when he's pulling guard or running for the running backs, he looks like he wants to knock someone over. And he's got the old school like big neck roll, football. Like he'd be a guy that you'd put in a movie or something like that. He'd be your guy next to you looking up the quarterback. The quarterback gets knocked down. Next minute he runs someone over. Everyone cheers and you win the state championship.
And Bubba,
he'll be back up. He'll be back up. He'll be back up going maybe if someone gets hurt right into that starting role. Definitely next year. Definitely. So
he looks like a lot of fun. It's been 48 minutes. Unbelievable. Can you believe that? Jeez,
that's how it goes when the three of us talk.
Ask the Magic 8 Ball a question about something? What do we got?
What do you got? So, Will, how about let's ask if McCormick will see playing time? Yeah,
good question. Do you want me to translate for the Magic 8 Ball for you or not? You're all good. G'day, Magic 8 Ball. Oh, you doing it? Okay.
Ask the question. It's ready to go.
All right. I'll do it in the Australian version, all right? Any chance, mate, see Mickey McCormick playing time in the Steelers football? If it says we don't understand you, I'm gonna leave. Oh my God!
There it is.
You're kidding
me.
You're writing these in. You are writing these in. You bastard. You are typing away and writing them in.
Wow,
not make that up. I'm not asking again. It doesn't understand my accent. I'm out.
Typing.
Put your hands up like this.
Oh, that's funny.
You cannot make that up.
Oh, so he's going to time. So it says you may rely on it. So he's going to see time this year.
Okay. Well, put this away. It's
too dangerous. Too dangerous. I can see him on, maybe on special teams. I don't know. You never know.
Barring injury, worked
squad.
his way up because you got Nate Herberg, you got Spencer Anderson, so you got that other tier behind, the Samoan and Daniels. So he's got to work his way up. So hopefully he got to make the team too.
Yeah, they carry nine offensive linemen, I'm pretty sure, something like that, or near 10. And also practice squad is like 16 players, so it should be quite keen to see. Oh man, I can't believe they gave me that answer. It can hear me all the way from Australia. Unbelievable.
That's funny.
I want to go back. I want to go back to this wrestling thing. What else do you think, Bubba, in terms of like with Zach Frazier? Like, so amateur wrestling. What are the techniques do you use in your wrestling when you're trying to pin someone down or take advantage of their their positioning or stuff like that?
Well, in amateur wrestling, you're looking for the quick pin. Now, professional wrestling, you're doing the storyline and the entertainment part of it. So that match, you want it to last longer. In amateur wrestling, you want to get in there, face your opponent, and beat him as quick as possible. You either pick them up, boom, whatever, and it's only one count in amateur wrestling. So you use your hips, take down as quick as possible. I know it's a great sport. You have to be disciplined. And being disciplined in amateur wrestling will move over for Frazier in football, and it probably has. And that's why he is a disciplined football player. So it goes hands in hand.
What about like when the defensive lineman is making a move? Do you think he's really smart to correct and adjust that move? And
I believe Frazier is. Yes, I believe he is. I believe he's probably very good on his feet. Because most wrestlers are very light on their feet anyway. They can move like a cat, So you might be standing there, all of a sudden, boom, they already got you behind and they're flipping you over. They're suplexing you, trying to go for a pin. Like Kurt Angle is one. Kurt Angle can fly around like a beast. So yeah. So that's amateur wrestling is just crazy.
Wrestled Brock Lesnar, and I guess Brock didn't fare too well.
No. Angle taught him, worked him around, man.
But he collegiate wrestler at Minnesota.
Who's that? Brock did. Didn't he play in the NFL, Brock Lesnar?
Minnesota Vikings.
He did. And also was a collegiate wrestler at Minnesota.
Yeah, right.
But going against Kurt Angle is the gold epsilon. Kurt Angle he's
a freaking gold medalist, man.
Yeah. He's the man. Even with a freaking broken neck, he's the man.
But even with Kurt Angle, he came to WWE or WWF and just was doing the real wrestling moves, right?
Well, he did the real wrestling moves that made him entertaining and made him a Hall of Famer because he knew how to do it and he believed what he was doing and he trained for how he was doing it. The first match I ever seen Kurt Angle in was in New Jersey. He was in a battle royal. He didn't last very long, but that was his first match ever in Jersey. So I mean, he knew what he was doing. He was dedicated and he made a lot of money doing it. And at first he didn't want to become a professional wrestler because he wanted that stigma, amateur wrestling and professional wrestling. There is a stigma, but realistically, hopefully people can get out of it. But you still have to be an athlete no matter what. You can't just go into professional wrestling ring and think you're going to be the next coming of Stone Cold or Flair or The Rock. It doesn't work that way.
If we see Frazier do the Stone Cold beers, I think we've got a good bloke right there. Kenny Pickett tried it with one beer. It didn't last too long though.
One beer and then Kenny's never going to see the field again. I don't think he's done.
All righty, fellas, we're getting into near the hour. Is there anything else we kind of want to add to this discussion of Zach Frazier or corner Beanie Bishop? Anything you kind of want to add, Shane, that we should look out for? Because I'm really excited hearing you talk about him. We could probably do it again in 2 weeks' time because he's going to be on the field. But it's so much fun hearing you talk about all the players.
I just suggest everybody that has not seen Beanie Bishop's highlights or Zach Frazier, watch them. It's going to get you really excited about what's to come.
And buy a jersey. Buy a 54 jersey because they're going to be hot.
Yeah, he's getting that because that was Quan Alexander, so he's getting that for sure. 54, and he'll have that for the next 10 years or 8 years or whatever.
Oh, well,
next year. Anything else you want to add there, Bubba, or plug as well in this conversation in thoughts of Zach Frazier or corner Beanie? Now, I'm truly excited for Frazier to play and Beanie Bishop to have a chance to play. Anything you want to add?
Well, I'm so excited, Mark, because I wanted Frazier. I wanted him 3 months ago when I did a mock draft. I picked him in the second round, and I did. I got him 51st. I swear to God, as God's my witness. And I wanted him. I'm happy that we got him. I'm happy that we got a center because the offensive line of the Steelers is going to be big and bad, and I can just see the yards just adding up with Harris and Najee and Patterson and Fields and Wilson. I'm looking at 3,500 rushing yards for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. I'm going out on a big giant ledge on the ship, and I'm throwing it out there, people. I'm going to say the Steelers are going to be the number 1 rushing team in the NFL, and hopefully we can get that attitude and that moxie that we used to have when we went to other teams and they were fearing us. I want that people to fear the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I want people, when they have to come into Heinz Field, because to me it's always going to be Heinz Field, that they don't want to play the Steelers and they fear the Steelers. That's what I want.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely keen to. I think overall the draft's been awesome. I think this conversation's been awesome. We're going to cut it short. I was going to ask the 8-ball one more question, but I'm really pissed off at it, so we're not talking anymore. The way how it did me in the last time, didn't understand what I was saying, and I think the 8-ball was correct on every single thing we said today. So look out for something to happen with Omar Khan and signing maybe a receiver or a big player. I think, Zach Frazier looks to be starting around number 54. Beanie Bishop gets a chance to be cornerback, and he's going to be fun to watch. When's training? Well, mini camp's around the corner, right? May something?
The second week of May, I think May 10th or May 8th or something like that.
It's crazy.
Not this week, next week. I think next week or 2 weeks now.
Schedule comes out soon. It's crazy. So you go, Shane.
I that blows my mind because in my mind I think it's later than that, but that is coming up.
Yeah, schedule's next week. I think it's like 10 days away or 8 days away. It's meant to be scheduled for what's happening with the NFL, all that kind of crap. And then we have the mini camp or the volunteer one or something like that. Then training camp. Then July rolls around next minute, September. Next one playing.
It'll be here before you know it.
We're back again. Woo!
So,
I like what Pepper said.
I want to ask you.
Stupid
Hey,
boy.
I want to ask. So if you can make it to Pittsburgh, you know, you can hang out with us and we'll show you around.
Me or Bubba?
Oh, no.
I don't get out much anymore.
No, I've been saying every time I do podcasts, I'm like, I wish I can. Realistically, the best chance I have is with the coin and stuff is probably late. If they get, you know what? The first time I went to a game was Steelers versus Ravens Christmas Day, and I loved it. It was such an amazing time. I mean, 65,000 fans all on Christmas Day. So if I could, I would save money for if the schedule comes out and it's like Steelers versus Browns Christmas Day or I'll probably try and save money for that. But then next year, I'm working on trying to go to. I want to go to a training camp. And this year would have been fun too to see Wilson and Fields. But yeah, then next year would be training camp. The draft's coming up. Me and Maddie have talked about going to draft in 2026 if the Steelers get it. That'd be fantastic. But really, if I could save up some coin and have enough to come back, I'm not like too much pressure on myself. I would go to a week 16 or week 15.
You need a GoFundMe.
Yeah,
you need a GoFundMe.
Yeah,
Mark's GoFundMe.
I have a bedroom. I'll put you guys up in your own. You'll have your own floor, and now there's two beds in that bedroom. You and Maddie could be bunkmates, like bosom buddies.
Wait, where's that in Pittsburgh?
Well, I live 30 miles north of Pittsburgh. 20.
Okay.
Half an hour.
Yeah, we live close. We can smell it.
Yeah.
You smell the victory.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate all the help here that's come through the chats and the views and the comments and all the extra help that is there. But like, I guess in the same sense, like you gotta like, you know why it's so fucking happy when I get over there and Maddie knows this too. When you first see it, it's because you've spent your money, you've worked your way to get there, and you go, that's my stadium when you get there. But I really do appreciate the support, the support when the coin comes in to help me. But my goal would be, maybe the 16th week and Christmas Day game, or dead set next year, because I've got my job going, firing all cylinders. This channel is firing all cylinders, so I will get there eventually. But
you got to do a show live in Pittsburgh. That's what you do
from Pamela's.
That's right. Yes, right from
boy.
Right from the galleys of Heinz Field. Down there below, standing right beside a trophy, right beside the Steelers locker room. Boom, you're going live.
Small Bakery,
right there.
Small Bakery. I'll run you down and see if
get a Pepe's hoagie.
A friend that knows Harrison very well, and I'll try. I don't want to like irritate my buddy, but I
you never want to meet you here. If I meet James Harris and he doesn't like me, then I'm going to be crushed.
oh
And
really?
give me a suplex, you know.
Well, I probably told this a lot of times, but Mean Joe Green thought I was a little girl, so that kind of I blame all my issues now on that. I didn't correct him, so
That got you for all your life.
I start an OnlyFans, and
Yeah.
that's all because of Mean Joe thought I was a little chick, a little girly girl.
He was big, man. I remember when I was a kid, and I was big for a 12-year-old, but looking up at him, he was massive. Mean Joe was massive. I mean, back in the day, in the early 80s, training camp was different than it was now. It wasn't the hustle and bustle. You know, it was diehards back then, and you had like a little notebook, you know, and then Steelers would Jack Lambert wouldn't sign anything, though. He was a prick. But Mean Joe would sign everything. Chuck Noll, there was Steelers. I mean, you're getting 10,000 people. Last year there was probably 10,000 people there. It was crazy.
How can I was going to say it and I screwed it up. Accessible Steeler is probably like Rocky Blyer.
Oh, Rock's he's the man.
You could just walk up to him and he'll sign anything and talk your ear off, and he's
a tough Steeler. He's the toughest Steeler ever, because I mean, if you ever watch that movie, Mark, Fighting Back? That is the Rocky Blyer story, Fighting Back. He was in Vietnam, and he got drafted by the Steelers, went to Vietnam, and had half his foot blown off, and came back and won 4 Super Bowl rings.
I saw his when I took Dad over there to the Heinz History Museum. I've been there 3 times now. And when I took Dad there to the museum, me and mate Ryan, we saw there was a Vietnam whole thing going on in the museum, and one of his stories was there. And I was telling Dad about it, that he got the foot blown up, and then he had like a year off or something like that, and came back to play. He
got drafted in 1969.
He's a legend. I'm going to ask Shane this one. Shane, before we go, so you weren't the kid in the commercial giving me and Joe Green the Coke? That wasn't you, or the towel?
What Joe exactly said to my mother is, "You have a very pretty little girl." And that. Little does he know that I grew up back.
All right, but you gotta love those memories, even though you've turned into a great man with a good beard. It's those memories of me and Joe calling you a little girl. That's fantastic. Well, it's not as bad as me having a pretend OnlyFans for the other gender. Could be worse. All right. Or the 8-ball disagreeing with me and not understanding what I'm saying. That really pissed me off. Okay, so let's get out of here. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome as always. Make sure you jump onto Bubba and Shane's podcast, Steelers Dynasty podcast as well. Fantastic. Got to give a quick shout out to Matty Peverill. I think Matty Peverill's going live on Steelers TDU next at 11, or my 11th. I sound like a bloody radio host. 11:30, your local time, 9:30. So make sure you subscribe to him too. Matty's going in week 3. It's a home game. He'll be start reaching out, and might have a bit of a bar meetup. So make sure you get Matty Peverill drunk as all hell, so he can't remember the next day or the previous day. And that's it, guys. You guys have been fantastic.
See ya.
Hey, let's get out of here. Let's play this one. See you later.
After the next 2, is he still aggressive?
Yeah, what do they call him? The con artist? I like that. I saw that, man. That's pretty good. It's a cool nickname.